I run into a client, maybe he's an engineer or somebody who's got a higher level of understanding, knowledge, and sophistication as it relates to these. And on those occasions, though not all the times, not even often, I'll get into the distribution function of an IUL and how it works. So in that case, I'd say, Mrs. Client, would you like me to show you that if we use an investment grade policy to save and accumulate money long-term towards retirement or long-term care, how we could pull money out of it? Okay, so let's say we've got this big bucket, we've got this life insurance policy, and let's say the life insurance policy is a $500,000 policy. And that $500,000 almost creates like a barbed wire around my savings and investments to prevent taxes from getting inside of here. And let's say you're putting in, or a client is putting in, I don't know, let's say $400 a month for maybe 30 years or something like that. So they've put in somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 of their own money into the policy over the course of 30 years, if I round it up a little bit. Let's say over the course of 30 years, we've built up $1 million of cash inside of this policy, and we've got a $500,000 life insurance benefit. Now let's look at 3 different stages of this policy. Okay, so stage 1 is I've only made my first premium payment of $400. I'm 1 month into this long-term retirement vehicle for me and my wife, and I'm walking across the street and get hit by a bus. What happens? My wife or beneficiaries will receive a $500,000 life insurance death benefit. It's the only long-term retirement savings vehicle where I'm 1 month into saving towards accumulating a nest egg for retirement, and she's going to get anything significant. In most cases, if I was saving in my plan at work, what would she get? She'd get the $400 I just saved last month. In this case, she's getting a $500,000 life benefit. But let's say my good friend Shane pushes me out of the way of that moving bus. And for 30 years, I save $400 a month. I put about $150,000 of my own money in there, and we've accumulated about $1 million in cash value in there. Let's say at age 65, I retire, and in this case, Shane isn't with me. I get hit by the bus. What happens then? All of the cash value that I have, plus the insurance benefit, pays out as a death benefit to my spouse. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? And then it pays out income tax-free. It does not pay out tax-free because that money is still going to count towards my estate taxes. So it'd be inaccurate to say it pays out tax-free. It does pay out income tax-free, as my beneficiaries will not pay any income taxes on this death benefit. But let's say, once again, my good friend Shane shows up in the nick of time and pushes me out of the way of the bus, and I begin to pull money out in retirement, in distributions. So the first thing the government or the IRS is going to allow me to do is I put in $150,000 of my own money in this policy over the course of 30 years. They're going to let me pull all of this money out in the form of a withdrawal. And when I'm withdrawing my premiums out, I don't pay any income taxes on that money. So let's say I wanted to live on $75,000 a year in retirement. So I'd pull out a withdrawal of $75,000 the first year, year 1, and $75,000 the second year, year 2, in the form of a withdrawal. Now, let me ask you this. Of all that money I put in over the course of 30 years, is it possible some of that money didn't go to the savings feature? Is it possible some of that money went to the cost of insurance and others' fees and expenses? Of course. There was lots of deductions that took place, but regardless of where my premium payments went to, the IRS allows me to pull 100% of the money that I put into it out of the policy in the form of withdrawals, and I don't pay any income taxes on my withdrawals. So now I've pulled out $150,000 out of the $1 million I've got in there, and I've got $850,000 of cash left in there. How do I get access to that? Yes, that's a great question. The IRS is going to let me pull out up to 90% of the remaining cash value out of their income tax free, and I'll show you how in a moment. So 90% of 850 is 90% of 800,000 would be 720, and another 45, so $765,000 in addition to the 150 I already pulled out, I'll be able to pull out income tax free. Well, how do I pull out the rest of it? Well, let's say I want to continue to pull out $75,000 a year. The insurance company is going to loan me $75,000. Why would they do that? Well, because I have all this cash in here, right? So they're going to take $75,000 of my money and put it over here in a fixed account. They're going to take it out of the savings feature, because if this was like in an index universal account, then this money would be, we would be tracking various different indexes. If this money was in a variable universal life policy, then it would be in various different separate accounts. But they're going to take $75,000 out of the savings feature and put it into a fixed account. And they're going to use that as collateral, because they're going to loan me $75,000 of their own money. Now, let's say they decide to charge me 4% to borrow the money. Guess what they're going to pay me in the fixed account over here? 4%. So what happens is these two cancel each other out. We wind up paying 0% in interest. It's what many in the industry call a wash loan. Okay, so 0% in interest. And because I'm borrowing money from the insurance company, how much income taxes do we pay on money that we borrow that's loaned to us? We pay 0% income taxes on borrowed money. Why? Because it's not income, it's a loan. So if I keep pulling out $75,000 a year, year after year after year, I keep borrowing it from the insurance company, and they keep putting more and more money over here out of my savings accumulation feature over here into the fixed account. What happens is someday down the road when I die, they take all of the money that's sitting over here to pay off all of these existing loans. And whatever cash value is left in here, plus whatever my insurance benefit is, pays out in the form of a death benefit, income tax free to my beneficiaries. Does that make sense? Any questions about that way that works? Okay, terrific.